Hey, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Empowerment Through Encouragement. And as we go through this series, my focus is on those that are experiencing ADD or ADHD. But this is not just for people who have that experience. We all have these moments of brain fog, or our mind is ruminating, it is circling, it is like a tornado inside. And these lessons can be transferable. So especially today, I did a podcast earlier this week on breathing, and actually this this message that I'm bringing you today is very similar to that. It's about calming the body, and it's about bringing the levels of stress responsors down to a reasonable state, and also just diminishing them and learning how to do that. And I wish that somebody had taught me this when I was younger. And this really gives me a greater understanding of some of the experiences that I had when I was a kid. And today we're going to be talking about this method called the relaxation response. Now, the thing about those of us that have ADD or ADHD is that our minds are constantly challenged, they're constantly moving. And it can be difficult when something doesn't work. And then we start thinking about many other things, and it just circles. And it's hard to bring that to a resting state. And today's practice is a very simple practice, and it was created by Dr. Herbert Benson. And he actually has a book. You can go to Amazon and get it if you'd like. But what I want to do is I want to just give you the highlights of the practice, the simplicity of it. And this can be used for anybody. For individuals that have that constant busy mind, you're going to love this. For those of you that are just looking for an antidote that gives you the ability to have control on demand and have this in your toolbox, that's who this is for as well. So there's nobody that's listening that this can't help. Now, what I want to tell you about is that integrating this unique kind of process that's very simple. It's not always easy because finding the time, it's not just finding the time. I hear people say, I wish I could just find the time. Well, you can't find time. It's either there or it's there. It's just there. And it is making that designation, setting it aside as a priority and putting it into your practice. And this is not just to add another thing to your list, because I'm not about list creation. I'm about transformation incorporating and transformation integration. That's what this is about. So as our mind races, it can sometimes be difficult to corral all those thoughts. However, in as little as 10 minutes, and if you say, oh my gosh, I don't have 10 minutes, well, hold on just for a second. Even if you can't, 2 minutes, that's 120 seconds. Break that down. That's so minimal part of a day that you can actually implement this into your life and into maybe somebody that you know. You can help someone else go through this process. So you can find this foundation for growth inside. Ultimately, the whole idea is to know thyself and to understand, what is it? What are my proclivities? What triggers me? What makes me have this experience? And if there was something that I could do that would counter that, would I implement it? Would I really implement it? I hear people say, I don't have time. Well, time is the only thing that you do have. Everything else is added into that space. It's what you allow to come into that clockwork, that 24 hours. We're all given 24 hours. Some people get so much more done in 24 hours than I do. And I can get done in 24 hours what many people cannot. So it just depends on where our priority is and where we've learned how to implement this and to apply this. So we understand that the prefrontal cortex is the place that it really stirs up. This is where we do our activation. This is where we do our thinking. This is the CEO of our brain. And research has shown that meditation can actually have a calming effect on the prefrontal cortex. Now, we also know that through studies and um, uh, medical results, even those that aren't faith-based will tell you that those that have gone into a surgery or a process or a procedure and they've had a time of prayer or meditation where their body is calm and they've lowered those stress hormones of the anticipation of what might be. I always say like this, that fear is the presence of a real and present danger. Anxiety is wasting energy over something that hasn't happened. And what happens is a lot of times when we go into something that we don't know, there's that level of anxiety that comes up. It's energy spent on an outcome that hasn't even happened, may not happen, but it's undesirable. And so we start to pre-plan how we'll respond. Whereas fear is, let's say, there is an actual lion in my yard and I'm out playing catch. Well, there is a real and present danger. I'm going to run. I'm going to hide. I'm not going to fight the lion. And this is what we do in our mind is we're fighting a lion, and all those hormones, the sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight, which we'll talk about here in a moment, rises up and causes us to react rather than respond. So meditation can be highly impactful for self-regulation. And as we've been discussing, ADD, this part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, and the reason I'm bringing this up again is that when you know where the source is, when you know that this biggest portion of our brain is actually in control, what we feed it, what we put into it is going to give us the results or the outcomes that it can only give us back. So if you put milk in, milk is going to come out. If you put in orange juice is going to come out. How do you get apples? From an apple tree. You can't get them from an orange tree. Otherwise, if you try, you'll be very disappointed and feel frustrated. But this is what we do so many times is we're going to an orange tree expecting an apple, and we can get frustrated. So meditation, even in small increments, can significantly improve our functions. It can change because we have to get present. We have the opportunity to get present. I'm not going to say we have to get present, but it's just the tendency. It's just if you are headed north, you can't go south. So it's the same way with meditation. Once we learn the simple process, the simple procedure that we can do for ourselves in any moment, then we can change the outcome, and we can bring those levels of cortisol down and that stress hormones down, and we can actually get a greater result as what we're looking for. Now, Dr. Benson, I want to share this. Dr. Benson was a renowned professor and a cardiologist at Harvard University, and he introduced this process. And I think that the first book was in 1985. The last book, gosh, don't quote me, but I want to say it was like 1990. Was the last that I did. And I know I can't put links into the chat. So just go to the Relaxation Response by Dr. Herbert Benson. Pull it up on Amazon. And if you go into the Goodreads, you can get it for like $1.50 plus shipping, something like that. There's my ADD running that rabbit. Anyway, let's get back. Okay. So he discovered this antidote for the physiological effects on stress. And Dr. Amen has actually done brain scans where he's had somebody that has been in a very calm state, and he's scanned their brain. And when they're thinking about things that they love, and they're thinking about things that bring them joy and a piece of serenity, a place of peace and and just calmness, their brain was just like lit up really, really well. It looked super healthy. And then what he did was he said, okay, we've got to find the animal. And one of his clients, they did a scan on her brain when she was in a heightened alert mechanism in her brain. And she started thinking about things, and her sympathetic nervous system was rising. And so then they did this scan, and her brain just went crazy, like it was on fire in the bad way. And so what we know is when that happens, our brain, if we're constantly in this fight or flight sympathetic nervous system where we don't eat, where we're anxious, when we're on edge, then those chemicals are actually doing oxidative stress to our body, creating dis-ease, which creates diseases. And Dr. Herbert said, this has a lot to do with cardiovascular. This has a lot to do with heart attacks. It has a lot to do with a multitude of diseases because of the stress hormones. It overtakes our body. So when we can counteract that, I give you all this information so that you know the tools, you know how to use them, that you can counteract that. And especially those, excuse me, with ADD or ADHD, if you know somebody, you can help them calm this down. And a few minutes of feel good makes you want to go back and do that feel good again. This is where we get the false sense of worth, is when we go into our social media and we're looking at who likes our post, looking at the comments, looking at the hearts or the emojis, or how many shares we got. And this actually rises the cortisol, rises the sympathetic nervous system, and eliminating all of those things and bringing this back down and giving ourselves the power rather than our audience or somebody outside of ourselves. So when we understand this fight or flight, when we understand that the sympathetic nervous system engages us to fight, run, or hide. So real situation is you're in the wilderness and a lion comes. Your body's going to not think about, well, what are we going to have for lunch? No, you don't want to be lunch. So you're going to think, can I outrun this animal? Can I hide from this animal? Or do I freeze? Do I just stop? I can't move. And that's what happens in our mind, in our brain, is that we go into that state of protection when we're not even threatened. And this can happen over and over. And it could be when you get a pop quiz. Now, as I think back when I was younger and there were those pop quizzes, the ones you weren't prepared for, like I just froze. I couldn't think. And I'd get stuck on one question and the timer was going, and I'm watching the timer. I hate time tests. Even today, I hate time tests because I'm looking at how many answers, how many questions are left to be answered. And I'm watching the clock and I'm going, I'm doing the math and I'm going, I got 60 questions left and I've got 45 minutes. Am I going to make it? And my mind starts to just circle and not concentrate. And this is what happens. So with those of us that experience ADD, and if you've got a child or you've got a spouse or a coworker with ADD, you can also recognize that this can also lead to muscle tension, headaches, shallow breathing, an overall sense of discomfort. And over time, these fight or flight responses, if they're not dealt with or handled, if they're not addressed, they can contribute to a variety of overall health diminishing experiences. And like I said, adrenal fatigue, gastrointestinal diseases. Okay. When I was a kid, I had a nervous stomach And that's what they labeled it as. I had a nervous stomach, and my stomach would tighten up. And it was because of all the tests, that period of taking exams, that those 2 weeks when I was going through that, like I couldn't eat, I couldn't understand what was happening in my body. And nobody could explain it. They just said, you got a nervous stomach. Well, what does that mean to a 10th grader? What does that mean to a ninth grader? What does that mean to a young adult? I got a nervous stomach. We get these labels, and then we start labeling ourselves. So if you're already struggling with an overactive mind, and this heightened state of arousal can be like a wildfire in your mind. And through this relaxation response, it offers pathways out of this cycle. And it encourages the body to just release the stress hormones, let them calm down, get present, and restore our balance. Now, the relaxation response is a very straightforward experience, and it's not complicated. And you're going, well, get to it. I know there's somebody out there that has this, like, get to it already, right? That's your cortisol rising up. That's your stress marker saying, just get to it. Well, I'm getting there. Just calm down just a moment. Give me a minute. All right. So, regular practices of this can help alleviate the symptoms that are caused by chronic stress, including insomnia, hypertension, anxiety disorders, and even fibromyalgia. He created this process as he began to understand this, Dr. Benson did, to create a profound change on both the mental and the physical well-being of a person. Now, what he suggests in his book is that you do this 10 to 20 minutes a day. Now, I've already lost you with the 20 minutes a day. It's like, how am I going to find time to do that, right? Well, you can do this in as little as 2 minutes. And if you've been with me for a little while, you know that you can do this actually in a minute, just putting your hand on your chest, closing your eyes, and taking some deep breaths, holding that, and then releasing it slowly. That can actually reduce the cortisol. But what Dr. Benson brought up was that if we do this practice, this relaxation response, and we develop this as a skill, then we can get rid of these unexpected stressors. The person on the road that cuts us off. We're already late and we get behind the slowest driver on the road. Well, we've already left late, but now we're looking for an outside reason to validate our stress. So before I begin, one of the things that I want to say is that as you start your day, however you start your day, it becomes the setup for the rest of the day. So if you say you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I say sleep on the other side. If you say you got up on, it's just going to be one of those days, those are those hormones that are coming up into your mind. So the best way to eliminate that is to begin this in the beginning of the day. So if you can, the best idea is before you start your day, make your body's coffee, not the external coffee that you pour water in, but do it for yourself. Begin your day with this practice. And if you can do 10 minutes, that will be fantastic. If you can only do 2, then do 2. But practicing this just once. This isn't a once and done. People, we've been indoctrinated with this microwave kind of drive-through philosophy, and we're looking for the silver bullet, and there is no such thing as a silver bullet. Meditation is a practice. It is a lifestyle. And these messages, these episodes that I've brought to you, these are lifestyle changes. They're not just habits, but they're lifestyle changes. It just becomes who we are. It becomes our identity. And when we know the power that this has, why would you not? It will be, your body's going to fight you, but I'm going to say, take back the power. You become in control of the body. You be the master, not the body. And the results will be amazing. So you can start small, but the idea behind this response, this activity that we're going to do, okay, is that we're going to tense up our body. We're going to tighten up our eyes. We're going to hold that, and then we're going to release it. And then we're going to tighten up our fist, and we're going to hold that pressure, and then we're going to release it. And we're going to tighten up our mid body and just contract those muscles and get as tight as you can, and then release it. And work that down through your body when you finally get to your feet. So do 3 or 4 or 5 areas of your body and just tighten up those muscles and then release it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to then breathe calmly. And you're just going to take a breath. And what's happened is you've activated that sympathetic nervous system, and you're in that tight mode, and then you release it. You're in control. And you're concentrating on that. And then what happens is your body says, oh, you're in control. You're the one that clenched your fist. You're the one that tightened your chest. You're the one that tightened your thighs. And you released it. Okay, now we know who the master is. And then what happens is then you close your eyes and you just take a deep breath in. And then you slowly release it. Keep your eyes closed for those 2 minutes. And you'll be amazed at just what that can do. Now, what I want to do is I want to say that the key is consistency. It's not perfection. There's nobody that's going to perfect this. This is why meditation is so amazing. We can't just eat one meal on Monday and say, man, that was a delicious meal. I don't need to eat till next week. No, it's consistency. It's feeding our body, and it's giving ourselves these daily benefits, and daily benefits create compound effects, and they lead to greater focus, greater relaxation, and overall well-being. So, as I said, to prime yourself for this exercise, do that for those 2 minutes. Just squeeze, hold it for, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds, and then release it. And you take that control. Now that you've done that, now that you're primed, this is the relaxation response technique. And I'm going to just tell you, I'm going to share with you what that is. So the thing to make this effective is to find a quiet place. Don't try to do this in the middle of traffic. Don't do this while driving. Maybe I should have said that to begin with. Don't do this while driving. Okay. Don't do this while operating heavy equipment. Sit in a quiet place in a comfortable position. You don't have to sit in the lotus position. You can lay down. You can have your feet propped up. You can have your back on the ground, whatever is comfortable, and just close your eyes. And then as you relax all of your muscles, just kind of scan your body and notice if there's any tension. If there's tension as you scan your body, then allow them to relax. Don't think about anything. And then also relax your jaw, relax your tongue. And you're just having your eyes closed. Now, I don't want you to set a timer. The reason that I don't want you to set a timer is because when that thing goes off, it's going to be abrupt and it's going to disrupt you. So what I'm going to say is if you want to have a clock in front of you and you just gradually open your eyes to take a look at it and see where you're at, get an idea. That way, that calming effect is still present. If you set a timer and you were in that relaxed state and all of a sudden that timer goes off, boom, all of those stress hormones are going to rise back up. So you're going to breathe through your nose. So sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, deep breathe through your nose, and then become aware of your breathing, and then come up with one word. And that word can be peace. It can be love. It can be calm. It could be a child. It could be the name of somebody that brings you joy. It could be the name of somebody that, or a place or a restaurant or some event that brings this sense of well-being to you. Do not pick that person that gets on your last nerve. Do not think about them. Okay, that will be defeating this process. And then as you breathe in, say that one word. So maybe let's say it is, for me, it would be the ocean. The ocean is a peaceful place of serenity, of calmness. Even though there's turbulence around, it's just an amazing beauty. It could be sunset. It could be sunrise, depending on your experience with that word. And as you're breathing in, you're saying just that one word, not a sentence, just the one word. And as you breathe out, you say that again. And what happens is that begins to trigger an anchor into your body, what's happening, and it creates a calming effect. Now, if you continue to do that for, let's say, 10 or even 20 minutes, when you're finished with several minutes of this, you're going to notice a peace, and you're going to notice a difference about yourself. You're going to notice that you are now in control. You're not hyperactive. You're not hyper alert. You're just calm. It's just a presence. And, don't worry about whether you had success. If you feel even one level better, that is progress. Progress is defined by the individual. So never measure where you're at compared to where someone else is in this very moment when you're starting. So celebrate that. So just enjoy that moment and maintain a passive attitude as you're doing this relaxation. So as you do this with consistency, I said is the key, you can actually begin to take control back over your body. And you can do this daily. It becomes a practice, becomes part of your identity. It's just something that you do. You'd be amazed at the effect that it can have. And I've shared many different secrets with you, many different techniques, but I want to just stick with this one today. So this can be fit into anybody's schedule. You could be sitting at your desk at work and nobody's going to know. I mean, listen, we're not 100% on the job at 100% of the time. So when you take that moment, just take that moment for yourself and just take a few breaths, and you'd be amazed at what it does for you. So this relaxation response offers a practical tool to imagine what you can do to a busy brain. By calming our nervous system, it improves the function of our prefrontal cortex. As I said in the beginning, this is the CEO of the body. What happens here happens here. And whatever we're focusing on, that's where our energy is going to go. And so if we're focusing on challenges, guess what? We're going to get more challenges. If we're focusing on calmness, we're going to get more calmness. So what I want to say is that this is not just for those with ADD. This is for everybody. This is a transferable experience. But my focus is today for those that are dealing with ADD, this is a simple technique that you can take, and it can improve your mental and physical well-being. So as I bring this to a close, calming your busy brain requires intentional practice. Listen, if we want anything, there has to be some intentionality behind it. We have football teams, we have baseball teams, we have basketball teams, we have all kinds of teams, and there's an intentionality that creates the success and the outcome, the desired outcome, and the benefits of what those outcomes require or consist of have some elements that go into it. Like I said, you can't plant apple seeds and expect an orange tree. It's just not going to happen. So the relaxation response method has a profound and lasting result. Dedicate 10 minutes to your day. Dedicate 10 minutes to yourself in a day. This is a simple technique, and it alleviates the physiological effects of stress, and it improves the overall well-being. For those who feel like you can't start with 10 minutes, remember, You can start in small increments. Give it at least 2 minutes. And that can begin to create a cycle. And over time, this practice becomes a habit. Individuals who integrate these routines, these practices into their life, find themselves better equipped to handle the day's events, the days like, oh, that just happened. That's interesting. And instead of reacting, we're able to respond, we're able to reflect and focus and have an inner peace. Now, this is a scientifically supported method for calming the overactive mind. Why wouldn't you try it? Remember, this is not a one and done. It's a practice. It's a process. Don't look for perfection. Just look for something that's different. When we become aware of what it is that we're doing, then we're more empowered to get the life that we were designed to have and the life that we desire to have. So I'm asking, if you like this, go ahead and share this. Leave a comment. Tell me what's going on in your mind, and share this with somebody that you know could use this and implement this. And maybe it's somebody that you could actually team up with. Maybe you could say, I don't know anything about this. Could we do this together and see what our experiences are and share that? And that's where that vulnerability comes in. So if you've enjoyed parts of this, if you've got something out of this, remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't, go ahead and hit that button. Leave a comment. And ultimately, if you'd like to know more, if you'd like to take this conversation deeper, you can go to my website, which is 360lifewithoutlimits.com, and you can book a virtual coffee. It's a complimentary call. There's no cost to it. And let's have a conversation. There's no commitment required. Book a call and set up a time, and we'll talk about what it is that you'd like to go to, what you've tried to do to get there, and if there's a way that we can help you get there even faster, quicker, and more effectively. So I am going to check my chat, and I've got no chat. So here again, I got to focus on what it is that I'm doing. So until we meet again, I want to say, take time for yourself. Have an amazing day. Be outstanding.